What's going on, everybody? Welcome back again to another Smooth Plays podcast episode. It's again me, Austin, aka Austin Plays. All right, joined once again by Dean. Okay, this is our second episode of the week. All right, first time we're doing this. And we already covered, kind of our recap of what we saw week four. And now we're just gonna dive right in to these week five matchups and just break these matchups down real quick for y'all. All right. So without further ado. Get into it, Dean. All right.
Let's do it.
Thursday night matchup, divisional game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into Atlanta. All right. From a non-biased standpoint, I want to see your take on this one.
This should be a fun one, I think. I mean, these are two good teams, I think. I mean, the Falcons are 2-2, Bucks are 3-1. Like you said, divisional matchup, and I feel like when these two teams play, it's always a good game. I feel like this is a nice Thursday night treat.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I couldn't
yeah.
agree more. I mean, yeah, I look at it the same way. I look at Atlanta, coming off a big win. They just hosted the Saints, who are another good team in the division, and scraped by an exciting game there. And I expect more of the same this Thursday.
I will say that teams that play close games, like close, hard-fought games, especially on a short week, like the Bucks were up for a while in their game,
Yep.
so maybe their guys are a little less fatigued from their game on Sunday, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, surprisingly, we're looking at this one, and the Bucks, despite being, 3-1, they've had bigger wins, I'd argue than what the Falcons have had, but they're still 2.5 point underdogs here, which is interesting to me. I know, so I will say there are some injury concerns on the Bucks O-line. Gedke's going to be out, so we're missing our starting left tackle. Winfield's going to be out, so we're missing, arguably our best player on our secondary. Um, God, this one's tricky because the non-bias in me really wants to take Atlanta, and I can't. I can't go against the team. They just had a big win, and I gotta believe that the Tampa Bay Bucks are gonna go out and Baker's gonna keep on baking. Um, all that, yeah, but no, non-biased aside, I think Atlanta wins this one. As much as it hurts to say, I think Atlanta wins this one.
Hey, last time Atlanta had a primetime game, we know Kirk in primetime hasn't mixed well in the past, but when he's in hot Atlanta, he's a changed man in primetime. He's honestly, he should be 2-0. They should have beat the Chiefs,
Yeah,
honestly.
he's been playing very well in Atlanta in primetime games, which he hasn't done his entire career.
I'm taking the Falcons, and I think they cover 1.5 too. I think.
I hope Baker proves us wrong, but I am gonna be rocking with Atlanta. I think Atlanta wins this one, but I'm still rooting for the Bucks. All right, don't get that twisted. All right,
All right.
moving on into the Sunday slate, we got that early 9:30 game that we talked about in our last one. All right, a little bit of a teaser. We got the New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings going into London. All right, this is this is going to be exciting, I think. It's always exciting when the NFL goes across the pond.
It is. It is. Especially, it's just nice waking up at 9:30. There's a football game on, man. Like normally, it's a weekend, so you sleep in a little bit, and you got to wait for the games, and it's always nice to have a game on at 9:30.
Yeah, no, for everybody that's on the West Coast, I'm sorry because the West Coast, it's a 6:30 game for them. But
This will be a very good matchup, though, I think, between two teams that coming off their games last week. I mean, there was two different games. Vikings had a big divisional win in Lambeau, and the
mhm,
Jets kind of laid an egg at home against Denver.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe for the Jets, you look at this as kind of like a nice little getaway, uh, an opportunity to reset and get everything figured out. But I'm not gonna lie. Again, this Brian Flores defense, I just feel like they're just gonna be all over Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if Minnesota necessarily has a guy that can just match up one-on-one with Garrett Wilson the way that Surtain did last week. So potentially something they can take advantage of there, if they're not just doubling him every play. So there is potential for the Jets, but I gotta believe that the Vikings are just the better team, right? Like they're hot and they're playing well and they got all the momentum in the world and all the belief that, they can be something pretty special this year.
I do agree with you that, and I will say I've been a Minnesota. I've gone against the Vikings, I think 3 weeks in a row now.
Yeah.
So hey, they proved me wrong multiple times. You'd almost be like Dean. You'd be an idiot to bet it, to think about them. They go against them again this week, right? Like, why would I go against them again this week? Because Aaron Rodgers against an NFC North team, it's barbecue chicken.
Mm,
Give me the
mm.
Jets.
Try and bring
Give me
back
the
some
Jets to win
prime
this game.
MVP Rogers mojo.
Yes, sir. I'm not saying he's, gonna go out there and be perfect, but I don't know. I think the Jets play well in this game. It's a weird 9:30 London game. Anything can happen there.
Anything can happen. I would say those London games typically they do end up being weird ones. But
Yeah,
nonetheless, a game that I am excited to check out because I do
for
think that'll
sure.
be a great game when it comes down to it. Moving on, divisional game. Baltimore Ravens going on the road into Cincinnati, who again, Cincinnati just got their first win. Ravens dominated, right? This one, I don't know. I think again, I just look at Cincinnati. You just had your, first one of the year. You're on a high. You're like, all right, maybe we finally figured it out. But then you got to go against the Baltimore Ravens, who looked stellar against a very good Buffalo Bills team.
Yeah, they where's this game being played at? For
This
some
is in Cincinnati.
in Cincinnati. This is a spot, honestly, I think, like you said, Cincinnati finally gets a win and they go against a team who just, I mean, dominated the Bills on Sunday night, quite frankly. But this is a spot, in my opinion, where there's value on the Bengals being home underdogs.
Yeah.
Um, I think there is, especially in divisional games. I say it all the time.
No,
Divisional games can go either way, and we both know that.
and that is truth. I mean, divisional games typically, it's rare that you have a divisional game that is just constantly one-sided and always a
Hmm.
blowout. Um, that being said, Baltimore is a 2.5 point favorite on this one. Um, I think that I think that just Baltimore's got it a little bit more figured out right now than the Bengals do. I still don't believe in that Bengals defense, and if that's the case, then I think Derrick Henry and Lamar are just going to run all over this Bengals defense. And then Lamar's only going to, like, so if Lamar only has to throw the ball like 20 times a game, like, and they can just dominate on the ground, nobody's stopping this Ravens team.
I agree with that. With all that being said, though, I like the Bengals here, and I think I like the Bengals because, listen, hear me out. The Ravens really stopped the Bills offense because they were blitzing a lot, playing man, and leaving those guys who couldn't get separation on the outside. They were leaving them. If
Yeah,
they do that again, I'm not saying they will, but they do blitz at a high rate. Chase and Higgins are not getting stopped like
they're
those
going to
Buffalo
feast.
receivers. I'm just telling you that right now. And I think Cincinnati's offense is explosive enough to move the ball and score. I think the Bengals win this one in an
Hey,
AFC North upset.
look, I mean, hey, that's my Super Bowl pick. So again, I'll take it. I haven't been so spot on that so far, but hey, I'm a Joe Burrow guy. I like Joe Burrow, and I'm always gonna root for my LSU Tigers. So hopefully they go out and play well. But I do think that Baltimore ends up etching the W in this one. All right, again. Another divisional game. Apparently, I think this is just divisional week. The Colts and the Jags. All right. Jags are going to be at home right here. Indy going on the road. Jacksonville is a 3 point favorite in this one.
I don't, do you know the status on Richardson? Is he ruled out
The
or is he
status
questionable?
on Richardson, he's listed as questionable right now. So, anything can happen. It'll probably be a game time decision, honestly.
I think this is a spot, Jacksonville coming off a heartbreaker against Houston, where they really, if they got a couple first downs at the end of that game, they run the clock out and win, and it couldn't get a first down. And the Colts coming off a big win. I love fading teams that come off big wins, man. And why would an 0-4 team be a 3 point favorite? Because they're not that bad of they're not an 0-4 team,
Yeah.
realistically. They could have
They're
easily won a
not.
couple games. And I'm taking Jacksonville in this one.
Yeah. I do like Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville actually does win this game. I agree. Um, yeah, I think the question mark whether Anthony Richardson's going to play or not is up in the air. Joe Flacco, he came in, he got the win. All that said, but he wasn't dazzling, the crowd. He wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary. At the end of the day, he's a 40-year-old quarterback that, and I mean, he's not Tom Brady. Like, he's not, it's just different. So yeah, I think that this is gonna be the spot where Jacksonville, is gonna get their first win. This is a divisional game at home. All right, you're gonna have energy. You gotta put these last four games behind you, right? And just one game at a time, clean slate. Go out there, handle business. All right, Trevor Lawrence, you gotta turn it around. Like, I don't
This
know
is the
what else
week.
to say.
There will be no more winless teams in the NFL this week. I'm
Hey,
saying it right now.
it is a possibility. All right. Moving on, divisional game. Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots in Foxborough. All right. Patriots hosting the Dolphins. New England currently sitting at a 1 point favorite. So really a pick 'em game. And straight up, I think the Patriots, are going to be the team to pick in this one. Um, But I wouldn't be surprised if Tyler Huntley, I know you talked about it in the last episode, Tyler Huntley being, um, having a full week of preparation essentially, right? He's kind of getting more acclimated with the offense. I think that Miami can show up and produce. So, it's a toss up either way for me. I do like New England being at home here, and I think that New England does have a good defense. Christian Gonzalez has been one of the best corners in the NFL this year. I don't know. I don't know. He's not going to be able to slow down Tyreek Hill though.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the problem though, is it? It's the problem if Huntley can get held the ball because there was multiple times in that Monday night game. I'm sure. I mean, most majority of us were watching the Detroit game because it was much more enjoyable to watch. But
Hmm.
Tyreek Hill could have had two touchdowns in that game if Tyler Huntley could put. I mean, like 60+ yard touchdowns
Yeah.
if Huntley could put it on him. And I don't know. I like how he's getting a full week of prep, like you said, because he's only been there for a couple weeks, and I
Mm.
don't even. He was on the practice squad for one of them, so I I just don't think after watching them on Monday that you can take them in a game. Like they look so
Yeah,
bad.
they looked bad. They straight up just looked bad.
it,
Um,
it, he can't. It is a pick 'em though. These are two bad teams right now. I guess I would agree with you and lean New England, but to be honest, I'll probably just stay away from the game.
Yeah, it's a tough one. If you had to pick one, who would you pick?
Yeah, I'd take New England if I
Yeah,
had to.
yeah. I think you got to go with New England. Just like I said, because like you said, how bad they looked, how
They'll be
bad
able to
Miami
run the
looked.
ball too.
Hmm.
New England will. Stevenson, like if they can't stop the run, that's the only thing New England can do. So
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Probably not a game I'll be paying a whole lot of attention to be honest.
yeah, maybe.
All right. Moving on. Cleveland Browns going in to Washington to face the Commanders, and this is going to be a big opportunity. If Washington can go out and and dominate this game the way that they did against Arizona, because this Browns offense right now is lost. They have no clue what they're doing. All right. If they did, this is an opportunity for them. We talked about the Washington Commanders. They're bought in. Everybody's bought in. The defense played well, right? But it still has a lot of question marks on the defensive side of the ball. So if Cleveland was going to get it right, this might be their opportunity as an offense to get it right.
Yeah, I mean Washington defensively was not good until the Arizona game, where
Mm.
they played honestly really well against Arizona. And like you said, Cleveland's offense is like bad, but man, the Browns, if they lose this game, their season might be over if the Browns lose this one. They're
Yeah,
1-3 already.
I think if Deshaun Watson starts this game and they lose this one, I think you see a change at the quarterback position, quite frankly. I think there's already enough talk and chatter about people wanting Watson gone and to be done. but nobody wants him, so nobody wants to trade for him. And Jameis is next man up. So I wouldn't be surprised if they drop this one. You see Jameis, get some snaps. Maybe even in this one if they're getting the brakes beat off of them early in the game. You could see a Jameis appearance, which I would love to see.
I will say, like I said earlier, though, teams coming off big wins, I like to fade them. And I just feel like there's no way that look, this is gonna sound crazy because Jaden Daniels has been incredible, but I like can't imagine the Commanders being as good as they have been. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
No,
And that
I
makes
hear
me
you.
want to take Cleveland.
I
It's
hear
also
you.
the NFL, and I feel like this stuff happens all the time. One team looks great one week, one team looks terrible, and then the terrible team goes and beats the team. That like I feel like I don't know. I like Cleveland. I
Yeah,
think there's
I
value.
actually do like that because I'm in the same boat as you actually. I do think this is the spot. Like
Yeah,
you said, everyone's off the Browns. Everybody's riding high on Washington. They just dominated. They look great. They got, the explosive young guy that everybody's excited about.
yeah.
Don't
He
sleep
comes down to
on this
earth.
Cleveland Browns defense. Myles Garrett is hunting for these rookies, all right?
Yeah,
Myles Garrett, this might be a Jaden Daniels welcome to the NFL moment. And I think this Cleveland Browns defense is going to really show up and cause some problems for this rookie, all right? Despite how incredible he's been to start the year, you can't ignore it. This Cleveland Brown defense was stifling last year, right?
it
That doesn't
was.
just go away. So I think that 3-point underdogs right here. I think the Cleveland Browns, this is their game to upset and win outright.
I agree. I like it, O'Hare. I like it, Austin.
All right. So continuing on with these Sunday games, we got the Bills going into Houston to face the Texans. All right. What are you looking for in this one? All right. I think that a response from the Bills and an opportunity for Houston to get a big win against a good team is is really on like that's what we needed. I don't know. It could go either way.
This is going to be one of the 1 o'clock slate games. This will probably be the main one I have watching for one
Yeah.
o'clock games because this is going to be a fun one.
Hmm.
Like you said, the Bills have a massive opportunity to respond here after getting embarrassed on Sunday night. But I just think I really think Houston's at home and they're underdogs in this game.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's only 1 point underdogs,
Yeah,
basically a
it's
pick 'em, but
essentially again another pick 'em game. There's a lot of really close games, at least as far as the spread goes this week.
I can see this being a shootout. I could also see it being a slugfest. I don't know. I think QB wise, Josh Allen is great. CJ
Yeah.
Stroud is great. It should be great to watch. I just
Yeah.
think the Texans have more weapons surrounding Stroud than the Bills do Allen. And I think the
Yeah.
Texans will win this one.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be this is the Stephon Diggs revenge game, right?
Oh, I didn't even think about
This
that.
is the
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs revenge game. All
Oh,
right.
he's scoring this weekend.
He's had
He's
this circled on his calendar. You can almost guarantee Stephon Diggs gets himself a touchdown in this one. Like he's an alpha. Like that's just who he is. He's gonna be begging for the ball. He has to have a touchdown, right? Look for him to get force fed a touchdown. And I think Houston, like you said, I just think they got more talent to
Mhm.
support their quarterback. You know, I think James Cook realistically is the best weapon that Josh Allen has, and I know Kincaid was banged up last week. Um, Coleman, I think, got a little banged up as well, and even then, he's a rookie that really hasn't, shown or established himself yet. So,
Yeah,
unless this is his breakout game, I don't think he's going to be a difference maker. Um, but who knows? We'll see. That being, this is a pick'em game, so I would be going with the Texans.
I agree. I'm taking Houston.
Okay. This one, ugh, gross. Carolina Panthers going into Chicago.
These are two teams. This will again will be one of the games that I won't tune in too much unless it pops up on the red zone.
Yeah.
Uh, this is a spot for Chicago though to improve to 3-2, even though they, I mean, quite frankly, they haven't played well yet. And to be 3-2 5 weeks in if they're not playing well would be big for them.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of this game against Carolina, the Carolina offense has looked a ton better, which I get because if you get a veteran in there, he can keep it afloat, right?
Yeah.
He can at least keep it afloat.
Right.
But the Bears defense is really good.
No, yeah, their defense is really good. I think that this honestly, this is actually I think this is actually a little bit more interesting than what people might put on because you look at Carolina, Carolina has put up 20 plus points in each of the last 2 weeks, right? You look at Chicago and Caleb Williams, offense struggled. Carolina's defense, not very good. So you got two different sides. You got the Carolina offense with under Andy Dalton. Can they consistently put points up against a good defense, right? And then for Caleb Williams, all right, this is it. Like if there's a game that you're gonna break out and this is gonna be your breakout game, I would say that this is it against not very solid Carolina defense. So I think this is another one that could go either way. Chicago's sitting at 4 point favorites. I like Carolina a little bit more. I gotta believe in Andy Dalton and the veteran presence that he's been. This Carolina offense is hot right now. Like I say hot, but like it's hot for Carolina. All right. They've shown like in the last week we talked about in the last episode, they've shown growth and they've shown that they do have something they can work with and lean their hat on moving forward the rest of the season. And so with that, I do think I like Carolina plus points here, plus 4 points.
I do like that. I like, your stance on the game, but I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think that Chicago is the best defense that Dalton has seen so far. He played Cincinnati and Vegas
Yeah.
and kind of tore both of them up. And I think this is a spot where the Bears are going to get after him. Those guys, Jalen Johnson on the outside, Montez Sweat,
Yeah.
those guys are going to get after him. I feel like and also, like you said, this is a chance for the Bears offense. I think the Bears offense, hey, they're scoring 3 offensive touchdowns this week against the Carolina Panthers,
Hey, again, we got
and
to
they're
see
winning.
consistency. Consistency is key in the NFL, right? So we'll see if they can consistently do it. Do you like Chicago with points or you think they'll cover or
I mean, 4 is not a lot. They covered 3 against the Rams last week at home. I think they cover 4 against Carolina.
all right. Moving into our late window. All right. Late window on Sunday, we got a divisional game between the Raiders and the Broncos, who I've been raving on like I'm on the Broncos hype train. I believe in the Denver Broncos. I do believe in Bo Nix despite, the game that they had. Weather was a factor. I'm not, you know, losing sleep over what I saw last week. I think that this Denver team is going to be a team to look for come playoff time and potentially sneak in to like a wild card spot. And this is a Raiders team that is again, they're still trying to find their footing, right? They win a couple games, but then they take a massive step back the following week. So I think that Denver right now in Denver, they're 2.5 point favorites. I think they cover the spread on this one.
I completely agree. I think that's a good spot for Denver. Like you said, coming off 2 big wins at Tampa, at New York, and Devonta Adams is out this week. It wouldn't matter because Pat Surtain is whatever side of the field
Yeah.
he's on, just don't throw to that side. And I don't think that Gardner Minshew is going to go and put up a lot of points on this defense, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. And yeah, I think Denver with the points here is the side to be on.
Yeah. I think if I was Vegas, just trying to keep the not like both sides giving them opportunities. I think if I'm Vegas, our opportunity or our strength in this one is going to be Brock Bowers. I think they got to get Brock Bowers going because he was essentially non-existent last week. So if Brock Bowers can get going, I think that ultimately might be their saving grace to keep Vegas in this game. All right, moving along. Okay. Arizona, after a big loss, right? Didn't look very good against Washington. Divisional matchup. going on the road into San Francisco to face off against a Niners team that looked like the Niners team that we thought we would see, right? Defense was stifling, offense was productive and efficient. Okay. And the Niners are getting rewarded with a 7 point favorite on this one.
Yeah, 7 points is a lot in the NFL, as we know.
Yeah.
But also there are games, I feel like, at least under Kyle Shanahan while he's been here in San Francisco, that when they play at home, they're tough to beat. I mean, we've seen them at home this year. They smacked the Jets first game of the year. And
Yeah.
then last week they dominated the Patriots. And it's tough to go into San Francisco and win.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm trying to think
they're
of the last time. Now that you mentioned it, I'm trying to think of the last time actually like watched them and watched
losing
they
home.
lose. Like, yeah, I do feel like they dominate at home.
And I mean, with that being said, though, this is a divisional game, and 7 points in a divisional game, in my opinion, is just a little too much. If I had to pick a side, I'd take Arizona with the points.
Yeah, I do like where your head's at. Like I said, I do like this Arizona offense. I like the guys that they have. They have playmakers, but this 49ers defense again, this is again a top defense in the league. They've shown a couple of, gray areas here and there, but again, as the season goes on, you figure stuff out, and I think that this San Francisco defense is again, this is just gonna kind of wreak havoc on Kyler and make life hard for him. And I think that this is a game I actually would like San Fran minus points to cover the spread. I think they could win this one big.
Okay.
All right. Green Bay Packers. Okay. Going into LA to play the Rams. What do you think about this one?
I mean, initial thoughts would be that this is a get right spot for Green Bay after
Yeah.
losing at home last week in a tough divisional game against Minnesota. Um, but the Rams also had a tough one in Chicago. And I think the Rams at home, there's some value there.
Mm-hmm.
But with all that being said, with the injuries they have on the offensive side of the ball, Jordan Love with a week under his belt coming off the injury, I don't. I'm just going to take Green Bay to win this one. I mean, I think that's the side.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think this is going to be their get right game. Jordan Love, you got a full week now to kind of get your footing again and reacclimate with the offense, and then the injuries for the Rams are just they're so loaded with injuries right now, and I think that it's gonna just be detrimental for them. I think Green Bay definitely can sweep into LA and steal a W on the road. All right. Last late window for Sunday is going to be the Giants and the Seahawks, who the Seahawks just took their first loss of the year, and the Giants, have looked better in years past. So I'm looking at it. I think again, Seattle 6.5 point on 6.5 point favorites. I think this is an opportunity for the Giants to, wreak some havoc. I honestly believe that. Um, again though, I think this is their recipe is going to be establishing some sort of run game because the run game last week was non-existent. I think if the Giants can establish any sort of run game whatsoever, the Seahawks run defense is not good. All right. Like straight up. So if they can establish some sort of run game, I think that they can keep this one close and cover the spread.
Yeah, I think that I'm on the same side as you here. I think 6.5 points. We talked about last week how the 5.5 points was a lot in the NFL, and
Hmm.
how those underdogs were hitting they were undefeated on the season up to
Yeah.
the
Up to
Niners
last week.
game.
Yeah.
And again, this is a spot where I like the Giants. I think they'll be able to run the ball. And Seattle was like before the year, and everyone thought a 9-10 win team maybe.
Mhm.
And now they're starting out 3-1, and they're getting a touchdown, almost a touchdown at home against a team who's been pretty competitive. I think the Giants, they're the side to be on here, in my opinion.
Yeah. And again, if you look at Seattle's record, or not record, but their schedule so far, right? 3-0 to start the year. Denver, New England, and then the Dolphins without Tua. Like,
Mm.
so nothing to write home about. And then they go and they face Detroit and they get a reality check. So again, this is a Giants team that struggles, but I do like the Giants here in a spot to, like I said, make some noise and, ruffle some feathers, per se. Some Seahawk feathers. All right. So that covers all of our Sunday slate minus the Sunday night game, which is going to be starring the Dallas Cowboys and your Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hey man, this one should be fun because there's nothing better than Pittsburgh Sunday night football. I'm telling you, it's electric, man. It is electric. But trying to put my bias aside here, the Steelers coming off a tough loss where they really beat themselves, I think, in the game in
Yeah.
Indianapolis, and Cowboys coming off a little extra rest because they played on Thursday against the Giants, and divisional win. And there's a side that I'm on, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
Yeah, so I said the same thing last week. I was looking for Dallas, you know, people are, jumping off the Dallas train. I'm looking at Dallas I need to see this offense kind of get it together. And quite frankly, this is not the team to do that against, right? This Steelers defense, TJ Watt, I feel like this game could get real ugly real quick, especially if Justin Fields and the Steelers offense can kind of carry over where they finished off last week. If they can continue and build off what the way that the game ended last week and carry that over into this week, this this might be like a 20-point blowout. Realistically, I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm not saying that like it's going to happen, but I think that is a very real possibility. And because of that reason, I feel very confident here taking the Steelers to win.
I love your take on the game, but I will say, being a Steeler fan my whole life, it's going to be a nail biter no matter what. It always is. It always is. It always is a nail biter. But I do like the Steelers on the points here because how I talked about on our last episode, how there's just no one really emerging in that wide receiver room other than CD. And
Yeah.
if the Steelers, just hone in on CD and make someone else beat them, the running game's not going to beat them because
Yeah.
the Steelers can stop the run. And I guess maybe Brandon Cooks and Ferguson make some plays, but no, I like Pittsburgh. I think their defense is too good. And if their offense can just show flashes of that second half, if the Steelers can score 24 points a game, 20 points a game, they're going to win 11, 12 games. I'm telling you right now.
Like I said, week 3, you just need to see a couple explosive plays from this offense, and that's
Yeah.
enough. Literally, one or two plays is plenty for this Steelers offense, the way that their defense is.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
All right. And that rounds out all the Sunday matchups. And then our final Monday matchup is going to be the New Orleans Saints against one of two undefeated teams in the Kansas City Chiefs, who the Kansas City Chiefs are hurting very bad right now. They have essentially no established wide receiver one. And like I said, Kelsey is, he's kind of showing his age a little bit. I don't know if, the offseason with Taylor has gotten to him or what, but I think that Kansas City sitting at a 5.5 point favorite has got to be a massive spread for a reason that I can't even fathom. And there's just no way that the Saints don't cover this.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'm on the Saints. This is a sneaky play, but this is my dog of the week. I
You
think New
know what's
Orleans outright.
crazy is I was thinking the exact same thing.
But also it is the Chiefs, so like they could go out there and win by 20. So you never know.
Yeah.
But I agree with Rice out. It's Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelsey, and what Juju's there. Juju's not wowing anyone.
Yeah.
And and the Saints offense has looked good so far. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying they're going to go out there and dominate, but I don't know if the Chiefs offense is going to be able to
Mhm.
do as much as the Saints offense here, honestly.
Yeah.
I like New Orleans.
Yeah. And you can't sleep on the Saints defense. I mean, we're
Yeah.
not just breezing over like the Saints don't have a good defense. They have a good defense.
Hey, in Arrowhead, it's going to be tough though.
Yeah,
But I
and
like New
Arrowhead
Orleans
is
to
going
win.
to be tough. Um,
And Derek Carr has played there, obviously, from being in Vegas and Oakland.
yeah, for me personally, I think the safe pick right here would be just sticking with Saints 5.5. But I do agree with you that, I like them as a dog this week. Um, yeah, we'll see, man. There's a bunch of exciting close games potentially this week, and I can't wait. I think this week 5 might see some of the best games we see all year.
I think looking at the full slate, it's tough to come up with my, favorite lock of the week because there's a lot of good games.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm going to go with for my lock is Jacksonville to win. I think Jacksonville's winning this week.
I think my lock's gonna be Green Bay on the road, actually. Green Bay on the
Okay.
road, going into LA, getting the job done. All
Okay.
right. You got anything else?
I got nothing. I
All
got
right.
nothing, my
Well,
friend.
with that said, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Those are our week 5 matchup predictions. So make sure y'all leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and then stay tuned for next week. All right, we got more action coming next week. So we'll see y'all in the next one. All right.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Peace.